Hello. Just need to check the audio is working, and then we can get going. Yep, we're good. Right, hello. It is the new year. I didn't stream over the last week, mostly because I'm still getting over whatever you want to call this. It's a heavy cold, not really a flu, but I'm still blowing my nose. I'm still getting mild headaches. Yeah. What we're going to do is play Babylon's Fall. Let me just try this. So, every time I've tried this, it has never worked. The resume activity function. It's meant to pop you right into what you were doing, right? Or queuing up. But I don't think it works with multiplayer games or other online games, because obviously I need to pick my character here. So we shall see. When was the last time? Like the 5th of December? So a whole month ago. And that was the start of the game, where I did not seem very impressed. Same thoughts have continued. It's like they saw Destiny and thought, we can definitely do that. But they just haven't made an interesting story to go with it. The combat actually is just massively tedious. Going up a power level or two when you're so close to like the level, not the level cap, but like the minimum requirements, it just doesn't feel like you're actually making any headway. And so far, if I have a look at like this bow, if you look on the just under the name of it, underneath Infernal Lord's Warbow, it's 9 of 10. So I've leveled up this item 9 times to give it additional stats, but all it seems to be is like +1 in 3 categories of the base stats. And if you think that like +9 speed isn't really much at all, and then you think, well, the greater influence is the power level, the 222 there. And the problem is it requires a decent amount of material to upgrade anything. And that's basically Destiny's infuse mechanic. And in Destiny, I know it used to require various materials, but now it's just money, I think it is, Glimmer. Whereas this is a whole load of material that you can only get from having basically recycled weapons and other... Let's have a look at the equipment, sorry. It will help if I... where is it? Items. Equipment. Oh, it doesn't list it there, does it? So, this is my stash of bits and bobs that I've basically collected from recycling an awful lot of armor and weaponry that I've been collecting. If we actually go to this jerk over here. The inconsistency with this game is some things are voiced, some things aren't. Some things are massively tedious, other things are like, here's a sentence. This guy keeps referring to, there are weapons in the canteen. No. Unless he's referring to something else. But anyway, so these are things I have in my inventory at the moment. And if you have a look there, that's favorited, so I can't. But every single item, and I haven't seemed to work out the pattern. I can't just look for like, oh, well, clearly that thing is going to give... Because these are similar bows, so they have the exact same thing. But another bow, like, it's got wood, and that's it. I mean, clearly it's like a crafting motif or something. I don't know. Anyway, so I've been recycling stuff to get materials to enhance, and that's what we're going to be doing today. We're enhancing our things up to level 10. But I don't want to do that just yet, because on top of enhancing, refining is replacing the enchantments individually, and that's costly. I haven't done that yet, because it seems pointless. Melding is infusing in Destiny-esque games. Crafting, you can make items, unsurprisingly, but you only get the blueprints from basically completing levels, and you can see how much I haven't discovered yet. It's like, well, I've done the main quest line. Let's go actually have a look over here, and I can show you the quest board. I'm gonna have to cough. Oh no. It seems to be basically you log in, and everyone's got a new thing to bore you with. Right. So Tower of Babylon is the main quest, and until you finish the main quest, this item doesn't even appear at all. So you just have the one entry. Obviously, Helioscope is the last set of levels, but if we just start in the Civic Cloister, this is the first set of levels you play, and after I'd finished that, which is this center column, and then we got deeper into the game, we then get skirmishes, which are basically higher level stories, but not story quests, right? And then you get jewels, and these are the things I haven't even bothered to do yet. They're basically sudden death, but you have self-revives. It's like, what? Does that mean that, like, one hit kill? I should look at that later. Okay. So the other thing I should say is all these blinking things do mean things, but so green means story quest. That's the thing on the blockade on the left. The one for Civic Cloister is the leaderboards thing, which I can't even do yet because I need to be 300 power to even sensibly do Xenon. So we're not doing that. The red thing in the top right just means a new thing has been unlocked since you last looked at it. And obviously this is here. Now these are more jewels. I should probably try that one because that's 110, and even though I don't know how difficult they're going to be, I should try it. Now that symbol is to say that there are sieges here. Now sieges are I don't know what you'd class these. These are a different type of skirmish that you have to grind to get materials for leveling up your weaponry. And that's what I've been... Basically, yesterday I finished the main quest. Today I've spent a couple of hours while watching some films grinding sieges to get enough materials to get them all crafted, right? For doing this, each time you complete it, you get obviously 50, which is your level XP, GP combination thing. The middle thing is the currency used to buy specific oils, and then just coins. So if we now go to talk to the most annoying character in the game, which is Pygmalion. Right, so Garage Shop, that's the out-of-game currency. Coffin Voices got unlocked when the main quest ended. It's like, okay, I don't care. The Conch Shop is basically the bog standard stuff you buy in the game with the money you get. Everything's massively expensive. They all have cooldowns, like this thing. You can buy 50 a day, and that's a 17-hour timer. So I can't buy any more until tomorrow. And I've been buying these specifically because I need them for the bow and the armor I have. I also bought an item booster because that dropped more oil than I require. Now, the Imperium Signatums are the currency you get from doing sieges, and I currently have 32. I need to buy one of these things, and that's 40, right? So you can understand that you need to do 12 sieges just to get 3 of those for doing the top tier unlock for each of the weapon, armor, and accessory, right? Sometimes you can get a relic that's not unlocked at the end of the level screen, and that tends to be because you've done like a mission or an order that's given you a thing. So let's just unlock this and go. Amazing, it's a shield at 222 that I'm pretty certain I've already got. Right, So I mentioned missions and orders. We should have a look at those. Right. So how to describe this? Missions are the meta that's dictated by the game devs. So this isn't anything to do with anything in world. It's it's just something they've tacked on to give you an additional materials for doing stuff. And of course, because I've played a bit today, we'll unlock these. You'll notice one of the rewards for this item is a token that you can use at the forge for upgrading your weapons. Now, you obviously have to have those to meld your weapons to a higher power level. You think, well, they're gating me progressing my character forwards by items that I don't, I have a limited supply of. That's kind of dickish. Now, this counter is basically counting everything I've killed in a month. I haven't played that much, but I played a reasonable amount. Basically, what the rewards there are just materials for making a divine weapon. These are oils that you can use to level up items, and honestly, if it was easy to go get 50 infamous enemies, I would have used that as the way to get the divine oil that I require for the completion. But you can see as I go here, I thought, I can probably do some crafting. The problem is crafting's expensive material-wise, and it's just not enjoyable. And even if I got all the things crafted, I'd then be out of materials to use those oils to upgrade the things I need to. And these are like end game bosses that obviously are the jewels that I haven't even got to because I'm such a low level. Oh, we should actually cover the other things. So we covered missions and daily and weekly update, unsurprisingly daily and weekly. Orders seem to be a thing that you can just pick anything up and it will keep cycling through. So each time I earn one of these, it will pop a new thing that I have to come to the order page and select to opt into a campaign, right? So let's just take these. And all of these have just been from grinding sieges. I did go into a mission earlier just to get the chest unlocked, because in sieges there are no chests. Might as well do that. Do we see one of those? Might as well do it anyway. And iron sheets, yes, because they're from Gallo, I think. Now, all of the materials are, I don't want to say class specific, but they're race specific. So depending on the enemy types you're going to be killing will dictate what materials you get. Which means actually it's better to, if you need certain materials, to play certain areas of the map. Unless I just haven't been paying attention. Oh, great, an empty battle pass here. Amazing. Now, on top of all of that, you have additional achievements, and these seem to give you, what do you call them in Destiny? They're tickers for your emblem, that, like, kill trackers and such. I can't honestly say it's that useful, because, yeah, look. I mean, it can tell you how far you are along, and it was a handy way of tracking stuff, but I don't know, just the game's missing the carrot side of the equation. Everything's all stick, and you can see my build. I basically build around Phantom Slash and regenerating SP as quickly as I can, so I can basically stay on a target and generate nice. And constantly generate SP so I can keep going. Now the problem with this is you've got all these guards around and they won't let you through the doors. So it's such a small area, and you think, well, where are we really? We're on a couple of boats outside this island, and the island has this, what they keep referring to as the ziggurat on, which is this model over here, if we have a look. So that's the island, and this is the Tower of Babylon that, you know, we actually ascend. The end boss was terrible. There's no point leveling because they flatten your damage, and it just wasn't enjoyable, and it took like 20 minutes of nonsense, and I'm just like, well, what's the point of getting my character to this state if it feels like I'm right at the start of the game again? So we're going to do a siege, and this is so that we get materials. I'm going to queue straight in because I had a problem earlier where it was early on in the day. I'm practicing doing the siege. 2 people joined me. They burnt all the self-revives and then left the mission, which would have been fine, but they left me in a state where I didn't have enough healing, so I failed the mission. There isn't really much to it here. So I've got my bow, and you can see it's got lifesteal on it. And there's nothing particularly that skillful. All I do is spam spells. There you can see I did a dodge. And if you do a perfect dodge, you get additional attributes. If you look in the top left-hand corner, you've got all the green status effects. They're all as part of my build. So the reason I have my rapid bow on light attack is just so I can spam it. And in spamming it, it generates SP, and SP is used for my Gideon coffin, as they call it. And that does the slash, as you see at the moment. This slash, if I don't fire the bow. Messed that one up. So the Phantom Slash, you can see, is just a sword that's swinging around doing damage while I don't even aim it. And then for ranged attacks, I use the other Gutwork, which is basically an energy ball. So this is the first siege, and obviously you can tell I've only done one siege because I only really need to do it to get the materials I need for what I'm doing. But the problem is, because I'm leveling items at the moment, I don't want to be melding stuff because I don't want to use the materials for it, which means I've been sort of level stagnant slightly for the last day. I've gone up from like 10 levels, and previously I've been going at like 30 a day of doing a bunch of missions. And some of that is just being quite happy to swap what items I've got around. But the thing is, as you experiment and you swap an item out and then go do a mission and find, whoa, that had a negative stat on it that really messes my build up, I've actually found it's probably easier to swap out the R2 and triangle item to just get power level from them. And then when I'm decently ahead of the main weapons I use, which is L2 and square, I then meld them from items I'm not using. And that brings me back up to a reasonable power level. None of these enemies are that particularly hard. The attacks from these commanders are fairly wide AoEs at times, which are rather frustrating, but if I see them coming I can dodge them. The problem is, yeah, see that one? It went behind me, so luckily it did nothing. But I think the problem is, so often in this game it gets so busy that it's hard to see the tells sometimes, I find. And I don't know if that's just because some of it's colouring or what. Oh. apologies for my character who keeps going da 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 da. It's when she procs her bow to like crits or something. There we go. So the spiders do spit out a venom, and it can stun you and disarm you basically for quite a few seconds, which can be rather annoying. But other than that, so far this has been going okay. You can see I've not used any healing spells. We took a little bit of damage there, but I'm still healing up, so it's all okay. The effect there on the commander was a time lock, which is a chance to proc sometimes. There we go. So this is probably the most annoying stage of this siege, just because these are bullet sponges, these ghouls, and they don't line up, they don't hug, so my AoE damage doesn't really do much. And then if I kill 5 or 6, they'll start spawning in the grenadiers, so I have to pay attention, because if the odd grenade lands on me, I do get knocked down and then I get set on fire. And even though I've got life steal now, I'd rather not, trip up on my ass anybody else. Okay, they're still not here yet. You can tell because they drop in with drop pods. Oh, sorry, just my nose again. Now, I know I'm being very basic. I know there are various interesting weapons that I could be playing with, which would make this video much more interesting. The Stomp, which is a massive sledge, is actually a fairly decent weapon. And, so there you go, you get knocked down. One of the weapons can actually toss characters in the air for aerial attacks, which again is, if I spent a bit more time playing with actual weapons to see what I like, then that would give me a good sense of it. I don't think the game does enough to give you a sense of all the different weapon types. And on top of that, they're just like, hey, I think in the other video they just like pick a character, a type, a class, and I just picked this one because I knew no better. But I have seen some of the people like do massive double jumps, and that would be quite nice, because I have seen a couple of sections of the map at times. There are unreachable treasures that I haven't been able to get to. Now these are probably the most annoying boss but one, just because they have a large AoE, and my dash is really short. So quite often I dash away from the big one and land in those little surrounding AoE areas, which again is fine because I have lifesteal. But as you can tell here, like, I'm currently trying to tag for auto aim the commander, but even with me pushing in the direction of them, it just wasn't letting me correctly select it. And that's one of the problems I have in fights, that there's one character I specifically want to aim at, and I just can't. So you've noticed there that I'm getting stun locked between a bunch of these annoying gits. And again, that's the problem with this game at times, that it's not that any of these do a decent amount of damage, it's more I can't easily peel one away. And actually the worst section of this level is getting knocked into the lava and then having these two just constantly keep smashing you. It's a way of... I've been stun locked enough to get to half health by having been knocked into the lava once and just then unable to pop out. It just feels a little cheap, really. You can see there how naff my regular bow is. Triangle. However, if you watch the timing there, the regular bow I use can trigger a rapid fire status effect, which I can then use for the other bow. But it's pointless, really. For most of the campaign, I actually had a stun bullet in that slot, just because it was decent damage. Right. So that's the main part of the siege, and this is the final boss. And this one's annoying just because it's a bullet sponge as well, but it gets enraged, and while enraged, it has basically a damage shield, which tanks a lot of my damage output. And while they're absorbing the damage, you've got these other igigis, however you say their name. These little buggers. Igigi. So you think they're clear, but it's just going to spawn more in every 20 seconds. But it is obviously more sensible to get rid of the ads, just so that I can not constantly get knocked down while I'm trying to deal damage to this cannoneer. So once it starts glowing purple and twitching, it will then no longer take damage for like 10 seconds. And that means I have to just wait. Right. So now it's going to more rapidly fire its bullshit weapon. And drop it at its feet as well, so I take a decent amount of damage in this phase if I'm not dodging merrily around. Well, you'll notice there that even in its staggered state, it doesn't particularly take more damage from the back or the front. So, apart from not being able to do damage to you, the staggered state doesn't really mean anything that I've seen, unless I just haven't discovered how I should be amping my damage in that point. But this is the thing, like the combat could have a bit more depth, and I just haven't found it, and I don't know if I'm just missing it because of how my build is, or because, again, like, I need to play even more and deeper into the game. We got another divine relic, nice. Right. So the other thing is, because I've been getting my power level higher, I've been getting less points, because I think I got 56,000 as like the second attempt going through there, and some of that is I'm using the energy ball more. If I just use the phantom slash, I get more backstab damage, which actually gives you more points, even though fights would take much longer because I'm constantly having to kite around from taking damage and the rest. Let me blow my nose. Quite pretty divine legs. Right, so I think that should mean we can buy the last divine oil we require to get everything. I'm just glad that Galatea is not arguing with him. Right, so amount owed 2, price 40. So we're going to have 2 tickets left over. I don't need oil for that. You see, we have no relics to appraise because they get appraised at the end of the quest. So now we're going to go to Isham. Isham's the most annoying character in the game. I'm glad that he doesn't actually talk here, because I would wish to stab him in the face. So now we want to go to Enhance. We go to this one that I've already leveled up. You can see it has some nice things. More max HP. If you kill someone, you get some stuff. You take less damage when you're low. It's just, you know, reasonable stuff. Right. Fingers crossed. Okay, so we have that one. Then we want to do the bow. Again, yes, we have enough, so that's good. And then the leggings that I did. And it was more just, I like the... But can you see what minimal impact it's done there? +2 impact, +1 spirit siphon, +1 speed. It doesn't feel good to level up the things I've been leveling up. Where are the leggings? Did I miss them already? +10. There they are. There we go. That was kind of okay. Cannot enhance limit reach. Now the problem is, as I told you, enhancing stuff doesn't really feel good, because just it feels dead-endy. Right. So I'd like to put this up. You can also see that this is a max 300 valve item. And that's fine. It's just I've been using it. I kind of probably want to keep that, but I don't want to just do a +2. This is the thing, like, I don't feel like upgrading those. So what we're going to do now, it's really not obvious here, the rendering effects they're doing, so we're going to go into one of the early missions. In fact, the first mission. It's the one at Power 1. So, I'm in the 200s power level. You'd think power level 1 would mean you can just sneeze on enemies, and they would fall over, and you could just run through quickly, have a good look. And yes, it wouldn't give much rewards, but they understand that, you know, you're just breezing through for some reason or other. Now, I have it set to have the camera further from our character, because I prefer having a slightly better, like, view. Now, I was saying the game just... It's a beautiful game, but they spent a lot of time making it look ugly. And I hope I can prove that by... If you have a look on the edges of the screen, they're actually blurring the floor. And they're blurring it by making it pastel-y. They are blowing out features. So, see the tile I'm stood on right here? As I walk away and it goes to the edge of the screen, it gets more blobby, and the colour palette gets, you know, reduced to, like, there's probably 15 colours there now, but it's large splats. And they're doing this obviously for style, but the problem is it makes it's not drawing my eyes to the centre of the screen. It's not like vignetting it, because we're used to vignetting. Because it's the nearest item in the screen, you know, in the shot, it makes it look like that's the quality, because that should be the most detailed section, because it's close to the camera. And yet, it's the blurriest, because they're doing this effect. And, I mean, it's really well done. I mean, I love it. But initially, when I saw the game, I was just like, why is it so damn ugly? What are they doing? And you have the same issue in the distance. Like, all the buildings have frayed edges. Like, they're distorting, like, sort of dreamy. But the problem is I don't know, it's really hard to describe. That it's a really weird game, aesthetics and just story-wise and the rest. And I don't think they sort of bring it all together to give you a good idea of what the shit everything is. Because obviously, this is a society that's collapsed by their own inventions, which are basically now left over in the coffins that we wear that gives us power, right? But we're obviously inside of this large building, and those are the pillars that are supporting the levels above. But it feels like it's a Bloodborne level inside a Dreams level. Right, so as I was saying, I should be able to cream through these, because at the start of the game, it took, maybe 10 seconds to kill an enemy. But they do damage curves in the same way that a couple of games do, that just don't make it enjoyable. Like, I'm ridiculously powerful. None of these characters have levels, but we know that entering the this mission, or whatever you want to call it, it's level 1, like 1. I don't want to well, I guess I'll spoil the end, the mission end screen, but the highest level equipment you can get from this mission is 20. So it's 1 and 20. So you would have thought no character in this is higher than 20, right? Which means that I am 10 times more powerful than anything in this mission. And yet, I'm not. And that's just depressing. I don't want it to make it ridiculously easy. But, as I said with that Siege, nothing makes me feel powerful in this game at all. And that might just be because my build just means I hold a couple of buttons and people are dead. No hidden pocket there, okay. But it's also a problem that the game doesn't use PS5 rumble at all. So I just feel the odd in the controller. That's disappointing. So it just, as I said, it feels flat all over. And I don't know how you can make that better, really. It might be that I have turned down camera shake because I'm sensitive to that, but maybe part of that kineticism in the game is, how they hope to leave it or something. Like, I guess this is the other complaint I have. It's really novel that they put the weapons you have behind you, so you can when you're playing with other people, you get a sense of what their builds are. But it's constantly behind you and just in the way. And I'm just like, could it maybe go away or fade out or just not be visible for me? Like, I permanently have something on the lower corner of the screen to tell me what my build is. Do I need these things? Probably not, but it's just that, along with the motion blur off the feet that is a little too high, and then that stuff, it's just... The game spends its time making itself ugly, and I think that's a disappointment. So, Lady Galatea and Pygmalion were obviously the people we spoke to earlier to buy some stuff off. It makes no sense that they're giving us, like, in-ear tips about how to navigate. But then I guess they just wanted to introduce some characters to talk to you, like that other game that has an online component and grinding. So they're talking about why the level changes. And I think what the game doesn't do, and that's because it arrives so late in the game that you're actually surprised. It introduces I guess they're not zip lines, grind rails, really late in the game, like massively late. And I don't get it. There are such fundamental navigational sections of the game that you don't even know of until later on. I guess I should do a level later on in maybe Elysium to show the contrast in the level design. Which I think's, again, some of the problem with the actual game itself. The early levels, like the cloisters, are just like Abbey-like buildings and courtyards, like, you know, somewhere in Oxford, somewhere in Sherlock Times, you know. Sometimes there's a chest or a hidden pocket there, just checking. So now we enable that. I mean, that's cool, but again, like, that's the only time in the game where something comes up like that from the ground. There is one other level where some other bits of the walkway are broken away, but that's it. Like, nothing dynamic, nothing moving. In Elysium, there are some, what do you call them? Lifts? Moving platforms? But that's it. They go back and forth between a little thing, and that's it. There's, I don't know. It feels like they had a neat idea for the game. It didn't land, and they sort of knocked together something. And the problem is, you know what other game that reminds me of? Destiny. So that's chapter 5 done. Ah, there's a chest up here. See, the sneaky thing about this is quite often a boss fight will end, and there's a hidden pocket nearby that you just get to. I mean, it's kind of cheap that I got pure platinum on that, but then again, I've got that before. You'd see skilled completion bonus. Yep. Just crap for crafting materials. So Elysium. And of course it's going to kick us back to the canteen. Or the headquarters, as it sometimes also calls itself. What we should do is go to who else is here. Ignis and do view equipment. Giant Stomp. See, I've never liked Enchanted Field. Rapid Short Energy Ball. Okay. Fireproof. See, some of these I don't think I've seen at all. Okay, that other person's not going to sneeze again. Nanu begun a quest. Okay. Oh. So gauntlets are, I don't know, I tried one. They're basically their custom modifier bullshittery. That one was annoying because each time you I'd kill an enemy, they'd drop a bomb, and it was just, okay, that's the same thing. Nah, I'm good. But you can see that, so this is the penultimate set of missions before Helioscope, which is the top of the thing. And just the central brown are the story missions, right? Those three there. And then all of these are skirmishes built off them. All of them. So you think, well, the skirmishes are very similar to the level that you've played already. Maybe with just a diverging path, or they've added some extra stuff in. Sometimes it's a completely new level with some interesting stuff they've pulled out of their sleeve. But this should show you that if you saw like an IGN video and they've just given you half an hour at the start, you'd think, oh, this is set in a really weird, like, this sort of Japanese style game. And you're just like, oh, this is so boring. So now we've got mechs and space and electronics. You're like, what? What? And again, I'm massively overpowered for this area. And they're not melting. I'm just seeing if there's anything up here, because sometimes I'm just expecting a chest to randomly generate up there. But you can see how there's none of that sort of similar effect that I can see at the edge of my screen to the early levels. So why did they do it for just that area of the game? It makes no sense to me that they were playing with like stylized shaders there and not here. Maybe they found it just didn't work too well with some of the like floor texturing or something. So the nice thing about the skirmishes here is you do get some nice infamous enemies at times. And because they're like the scorpions or the other assags, they're reasonably doable. And by doable, I mean murderable. Not very good with words today, I don't think. So you can see whenever I kill something, I get experience. The problem is, it is so slow going that the experience doesn't really matter at all. And since it only really gives you access to Gideon coffin upgrades, they're completely pointless because that's for group play. So you spend most of the game getting stuff so that you can play with others, which is fine. I enjoy doing that. But the quick matching just doesn't work well. So near the start of the game, like I think it was the volcanic cloister, I matched into some people who were doing something, or rather I basically accepted the quest and then sat in the headquarters waiting for people to join me. I kind of had to carry them, even though, you know, it's right at the start of the game, but that's fine. Whereas all of the matching I've tried later on in the game has been people who are too underleveled to join where I'm playing at, and it's actually meant that I wouldn't say the experience is ruined, but if they're just going to die and eat revive, I kind of think the revive system needs to be like character based, not team based, so that each person gets a couple of self revives, and then, you know, it's per character, so that you can't just get griefers joining in and then burning all of the self-revives for your team. Because then it means that if they eat your... This happened earlier today, of course. If they eat all of your self-revives and then quit, those revives don't come back. So I had 2 people join one of the sieges. They clearly must have been underleveled or something. But one of them didn't know what to do, so just ran around. But they weren't tanking damage, and they weren't doing damage. And the other person just kept dying, and I don't think they even knew what to do. But then, basically, once they'd both died and there were no revives left, they aborted the mission. Which is so nice of them, because I'd spent 10 minutes running around trying to keep them alive. And then, of course, I mentioned this earlier, I'd spent a lot of resources to do that, which meant I didn't have any potions left to heal myself. And, yeah. So that's why I built more into vampiric blows. Because keeping yourself topped up without teammates can be useful. Now, this one I wanted to mention because... Can you see the distance here? I'll show you on the way back. Nice. So, this is one of the furthest distances in the game for the, tether jump. And you can tell, because it doesn't even prompt you to use it until you're basically dropping away. And I've missed that jump twice, just because I wasn't near enough to the edge. The other problem this game has, it doesn't have a gimme for jumping near edges. If you are late, you just didn't jump. So it doesn't have the, Nathan Drake Uncharted, you're still on the edge 2 meters away from it. As soon as you're unable to stand on the edge, that's it, you're falling. The game is so unforgiving. You can see over there, there's some of the painterly stylings on that. Oh, can't really aim with this, can I? No. I mean, they have done a good job at times making things look like you're in a painting. But it doesn't really make any sense. And the only time you're actually in a painting is during some of the cutscenes, the one that I skipped at the start of Elysium there. And it still doesn't explain why you're in a painting beyond that's more affordable as a cutscene to just do storyboarding and the odd voice acting. Which again just shows how there's not much consistency. I'd finished the game. We had the end game video. I played another mission to do something else. And it wasn't even a story, it was just one of the sieges. And they played another cutscene after I got back from that, and I was like, what? How? And it confuses me that I feel like once I've done those other stories, the blockade section, that if I actually have a look at the achievements and progression, there are 2 full stories that I haven't completed. But then I think, well, what am I going to learn from that? Because I've literally learnt barely anything from this story they gave me. That was the main quest. It's just massively disappointing. Not in a Destiny 2 mission where they take your light away and then give it back to you within 2 hours. Just in a... The game's got some really interesting ideas, but there's nothing to go with it. There we go. So the other thing is, missions are wildly different in length. Like, that was 4 chapters. Quite a few of the later ones are 6 chapters. And again, makes no sense why there's inconsistency, why whatever. It's just that's how some things are. So obviously the game is going to continue granting me items that will bump up my power level. And to get into the duel that would get me a leaderboard position, what we're going to do, we're going to go over here to at least peep the previous leaderboards. So this is the one that was last year. I guess the summer one. Wow, that only lasted a month, huh? So we have some PC players, but mostly PlayStation. Zenon's the current one, and compared to that one, this is a 2-month, I guess, a month and a half. Now, Nim, I've actually seen on PlayStation in this headquarters. They were there earlier today. But yeah, it's frustrating because that's obviously going to run out in 3 days. I don't think I can get to power level 300 before then. So I don't think that's going to really do much for me to try to do that. So this is a tavern, right? What do you normally do in taverns? Like talk to your teammates? Arrange guild stuff? Come on then, let's go. It's like they wrote dialogue for actions that don't happen. This is a person that lets you change your appearance. This person's just playing the accordion for no good reason. So yeah, there's really nothing to do in here. This person talks to us. That's one of our teammates. That's it. Like, we gain no information. They're a gatekeeper. Amazing. You can reach the shaft at the heart of the ziggurat. Okay. Right. So that's telling me, nope, you're not welcome. Should we go speak to that person? Can we even get over there? Not this way. Unless there's a no zip line. Can we jump out the window? No, we cannot. Can we go over here? Yeah, okay, we can. Hello. I've seen plants, I can't say round leaves. Oh, okay, so that's that blue plant that keeps making walls for us. Is he asking us to bring some back for him? So you can see how my curiosity has got the better of me. Now I just feel like I'm an idiot. So anyway, down here we have the exact same thing as that. It's yet another keyboard, quest board even, sorry. This person, what do they give us access to? They give us access to this menu. I shit you not. Ta-da! It's as if they had like competing ideas of what it should be, whether it should be something that you can just do everything from the menu, which you can, apart from you cannot forge stuff and you cannot trade stuff. But everything else you can organize through them. Oh, I guess quest boards. Do we want to do one more quest, or am I quite done with this game? Let's have a look. I guess we should actually look at the achievements. So you can see this is obviously a story quest. And these are further stories, and there's just more skirmishes. And you think, oh, Jesus, you've already done the main quest. What more are you going to possibly learn by doing all this other nonsense? And I don't think it's going to give me much, frankly. Okay, so that's nice. I don't think I'm going to equip any of these. So that's 100 divine items. That's going to take a while. Right. So progression. Story. So you can see we've completed the story quests in the main story. I don't know. I'm more surprised that these weren't tied into further trophies. And it's not even as if I'm not going to be leveled enough to do all those. But that's quite a few more hours of the most tedious combat I've played in the game in a while. And as much as I've been enjoying it, I think I'm done. So the reason for doing this video is I wanted to at least cover some of what makes the game tick by just interacting with it, making a video. Because that's one of the sad things about games that go offline, that once they're gone, you know, I've skipped past a bunch of those items there. You're not going to know the name of those items if no one's taken a screenshot of them. And I doubt there's going to be like a database of Babylon's Fall nonsense that people are going to look back on and go, oh, that's a cool looking sword, I wonder what it was called. Well, if I don't pause at it, you know, or if I just ignore it completely, it wouldn't even be seen. And I think that's one of the problems with preserving online games now, that you have to be really diligent in what you capture. And I don't, with the work I did on trying to back up PlayStation Home, I didn't get anywhere near what I wanted to, but some of that is because the stuff was offline by the time I even got to it, by years. Here you just, you know, you can buy colours, so they're like shaders in Destiny. Again, like, these are really cool looking colours. Like, green and white, absolutely. I want that. We have it. And then you have emotes, bad connect. Like, come on, why isn't that why aren't some of these emotes, like, in the default? Why are emotes always part of the MMO? Like, hey, you can have, like, give the fundamentals, like cooperation, ready, and bad connection, I would have said, are requirements. And the other thing is, there are just far too many consumables. Like, I know they want to make it so you have to keep going back to certain areas, but now that you can buy these, it doesn't matter. I guess if we go to crafting materials, like, these blue items are ones that you can only get in those locations. You can't buy them from, like, Pygmalion. So all of these can be purchased as well as recycled from weapons. These can only be recycled from weapons or discovered during a mission, right? So the tier of item actually means that, you know, if you're trying to upgrade certain weapons and you just don't have some of these items, you have to then go to that region and go grind it, which is fine, like, they want to make that. But the game's just, you know, not massively enjoyable to keep that grind going. Apart from, obviously, if you want to get leaderboard positions and if you want to look at this stairway and go, there's water under here? Why have they done such a large stairway for cross? Why not just make a little bridge? Why all this infrastructure? It's nuts. Anyway, that's Babylon's Fall. It's the 7th of January, so there's, like, as it says in the top left, 51 days before the servers are off. I don't think I'm going to get the PlayStation 4 copy and play through, because you need to further upgrade those 3 items again, because they don't count, and that would mean I'd have to get so much more divine oil. I guess technically, if I did that crafting quest, I would be able to get enough things, and I could probably just, you know, enchant whatever. However, I'm not going to do that. I don't need to get 2 platinums in Babylon's Fall. 1 is more than enough. So that's it. That's my final look at Babylon's Fall. I hope you enjoyed.